In this episode of Star Wars The Cinematic Frontier, we're diving into one of the most underrated Star Wars shows of all time, 2003's Clone Wars. Hidden in the Star Wars Vintage Collection on Disney+, this microseries blends epic storytelling and striking visuals that just might send shivers down your spine.
Like fire across the galaxy, the Clone Wars spread.
Secure the area.
Sergeant.
Commander Skywalker.
Obi-Wan?
Yes?
ARC troopers, deploy!
Yes, sir.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Sector 4 needs reinforcements. We are being overrun. Repeat, we are...
In league with the wicked Count Dooku. More and more planets slip.
Training has served me well. It has awarded me many trophies.
Don't let your pursuit of trinkets cloud your reality.
Dark side is strong in me, for I am Sith.
This selfless sacrifice will be long remembered in the archives of the Jedi Order.
Against this threat, upon the Jedi Knights falls the duty to lead the newly formed army of the Republic.
ARC troopers, you have been selected for this task because you are the best.
Keep up the pressure on the right. Sir, what about our left flank? The Jedi have the
Lead the assault, Master Obi-Wan can.
My army is ready, Chancellor. We can leave immediately.
And as the heat of war grows,
Master Windu, enemy starships continue to spill out of hyperspace.
so too grows the prowess of one most gifted student of the Force.
I'm sorry, Master. You were right. It was a trap, laid out by the Sith, and I ran headlong into it. But I emerged victorious.
Star Wars Clone Wars, the 2D microseries created by Genndy Tartakovsky, aired on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s in between regular programming. With 3 seasons and 25 mini-episodes split into 2 volumes, it's available now on Disney Plus and YouTube. Made before Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, this series is sadly no longer considered canon. But at this time, it was our very first look at the Clone Wars era before Revenge of the Sith hit theaters in 2005. The story bridges the gap between Attack of the Clones and the Battle of Coruscant in Episode 3. It follows Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and other key characters as they face off against villains like General Grievous, Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, and Dirge. Often overshadowed by 2008's Star Wars The Clone Wars, this earlier series deserves a second look. So what makes it so memorable? Long before the recent wave of stylized animation, Clone Wars was already pushing visual boundaries. In 2008, Tartakovsky brought the signature 2D style already popular from Samurai Jack into the Star Wars universe, and it works beautifully. Today, stylized animation is experiencing a new golden age. Think The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Arcane, Love, Death and Robots, Bluey, and of course, Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse, which reignited interest in experimental animation. Tartakovsky himself later continued this legacy with Primal. Even though Clone Wars predates this resurgence, it remains a shining example of how stylized animation can elevate storytelling. Time for the breakdown. With minimal dialogue and brief episode runtimes, Clone Wars relies on every frame and asset to tell its story. The show uses its characters, locations, action sequences, shot pacing, and lighting to visually tell its story through a unique style. The show's exaggerated hand-drawn character design don't just resemble their live-action counterparts, but they embody them through movement, expression, and behavior, essentially showing their personality rather than relying on dialogue. Obi-Wan fights with confidence and grace. Anakin is raw power and reckless energy. Yoda's small size becomes a tactical advantage, while Padme relies on wit and intelligence, especially during the Ilum rescue mission. settings are equally imaginative. Ilum's icy catacombs, Kit Fisto's underwater defense of Mon Cala, and the epic ground battles on Coruscant all showcase the series' creativity with its locations. The action is large-scale, intense, with fast anime-like choreography that brings force powers and lightsaber duels to life in a way the films often can't. This is the show where Jedi truly feel powerful. Unlike in the movies, we see why the Jedi were powerful warriors, especially Grand Master Yoda and Mace Windu. Not to mention, the Jedi use force powers that rival Starkiller. Because of this power, do we start to truly fear some of the villains in the story. General Grievous was introduced at the end of Volume 1, where he's presented to the audience as a monster rather than just a villain. He was introduced as a Jedi killer, a great general, and a cunning warrior. This is when the young Padawan, who looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, falls to the droid leader. The show also nails pacing really well. Shots linger just long enough to build tension before launching into action. This rhythm gives the series a cinematic feel despite its short episodes. This not only makes the action and tension better, but the payoff as well. Even in the short episodes, the overall pacing and the episodic plot feels complete, even enough time for funny gags and humor to be added in. The use of lighting and foreshadowing in the show is phenomenal. During multiple fight scenes, the lighting plays a big role in the aesthetic of the shots. It is important to make every scene look good, but to get the most out of your story, use everything, including light to tell the story. During the Anakin vs. Asajj Ventress fight scene on Yavin 4, we see how the lightsabers illuminate the faces of the characters. Anakin is blue, Ventress is red. Pretty straightforward, but during the last confrontation, the blue glow around Anakin turns red, foreshadowing his path to the dark side. Along with this, more foreshadowing is shown when he is hacking away at Ventress. Shadows of his masters appear and gets enveloped in a red rage. Later in the series, in Volume 2, we see a shot during Anakin's last Jedi Knight trial. We see Anakin's vision of his downfall. In this vision, shown by paintings on the wall of a cave, he kills everyone he loves, including a scream from Padme to wake him up out of this vision. Visually, the show is stunning, but what adds so much life into it is the music and audio design. The sound design and music elevate the entire experience. Classic John Williams themes, like Duel of the Fates, The Separatist March, and Anakin and Padme's love scene, are woven seamlessly into the show, creating an emotional connection with the films. But the original music stands out too. It matches Williams' tone while syncing perfectly with on-screen action. Just like the old-style cartoons, the music speaks for the characters, and the characters move with the music. Everything from explosions to character movements and lightsaber swings are synced with the music. This makes the overall action much more energetic and fun to watch. Why else is the music so strong in the show? To answer that, listen to this. That's right, it's silence. Not having music during specific shots makes the scenes with music much more powerful in contrast. There are so many times in the show where you might forget there is music, but you will feel the music in the action scenes. There are many more times where the absence of music altogether makes the scenes eerie, suspenseful, or purposely highlighting the tension of the action or sound effects. To go off on the sound effects quickly, they are used very nicely throughout the show. Star Wars is known for its sound design, and this show meets that mark. Shows with minimal dialogue put more emphasis on the action, so when there is dialogue, each line holds more weight. Every word matters, and has been chosen specifically for that scene. Think about a book compared to a short poem. The poem needs to tell a story with less words, so the words mean more under this limit. In Clone Wars, every line serves a purpose, either to explain a situation or give more personality to a character. Yoda, in the beginning of each episode, sums up the Clone Wars for the audience. Sometimes that will be the only dialogue in the whole episode. Despite no longer being canon, Clone Wars from 2003 fits incredibly well into the prequel timeline. The final episodes leads directly into Revenge of the Sith, depicting the Battle of Coruscant from a new angle on the ground, even explaining why Grievous had a cough in the movie but not in Volume 1. we see Anakin's transformation from impulsive Padawan to full Jedi Knight. Obi-Wan and Anakin grow in true brotherhood. We even get small touches like C-3PO's gold plating. Side note, 3CPO was voiced by Anthony Daniels, the original voice and actor of the character in the movies. The series introduces characters, locations, and plot elements that would later appear in 2008's Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. Grievous's droid guards, Orc troopers, Ilum, Mon Cala, and the idea of a long-formed multi-episode arcs all appeared in this first before anything else. Furthermore, the characters feel true to the live-action versions. Anakin is headstrong, quick to think, emotional, and becomes a powerful warrior in the end. Obi-Wan fights defensively and is a great mentor, if not a little uptight in the beginning. Yoda, particularly, is very interesting. In the Ilum rescue sequence, he plays a mind trick on Padme's guard in a fun way, and shows his caring nature when he makes Padme feel better about not helping out in that rescue. Yoda's qualities, I feel, lack in the prequels, when in the original trilogy he expresses it with Luke. He's a kind, silly, little green man who's very powerful. Unlike his fight against Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, he takes out armies and ships just by using the Force. Even the villains seem richer in comparison. Dooku trains Grievous in the Jedi arts, showing Grievous his signature characteristic fighting technique and artistry. Grievous is shown to be a powerful warrior and a scary general, who isn't afraid to retreat when needed tactically. Palpatine himself is shown to be manipulating, not only in Jedi affairs, but in the minds of all of his enemies. So if you haven't guessed already, this show is amazing, but what are some of its flaws? The problem with stylized animation is not everyone enjoys that particular style. Some aspects, like the character design, will be disliked by parts of the community. Palpatine's design, in particular, can feel very off-putting, even though he's supposed to look off-putting as a villain, and even in the films he looks like this. The power scaling is another potential issue. Jedi are shown to be super powerful, almost to a fault. While this is cool and great for the viewer, it does clash a bit with how restrained Jedi powers are in the films. And then, the biggest downside, it's not canon. George Lucas had minimal involvement, especially in the portrayal of Grievous, which differs from the wheezing, cowardly version we see in Revenge of the Sith and in the 2008's Clone Wars. This and other reasons means that the show is more comparable to Star Wars Visions rather than canon, even though it should be canon. But alas, I believe this show to be a classic, not only in storytelling, but also just as a Star Wars cartoon. The show introduces the audience to many key elements in the franchise and becomes inspiration for many more. I hope you get a chance to watch it. It's amazing. Star Wars Clone Wars is absolute cinema. The visuals, sound design, and minimalist storytelling come together perfectly. I'm giving this microseries a strong 9.7 out of 10. A top-tier Star Wars experience that deserves way more love. This is your commanding officer, Brian, signing off. Thanks for joining me on this final episode of this season. It's been a blast making this podcast, and I hope you've noticed the improvements along the way. If you want to connect beyond Spotify, follow me on Instagram at Puffin Cinematics, and check out my other content on YouTube at Recon Puffin. I'll see you on the frontier, soldier.